Chapter 2, Principles of Management. Now we are very, we know, you all know by now that there is at least a 6 marker long answer question which is asked from Principles of Management and a couple of short answer questions also. So Principles of Management is an extensive chapter. अब होता क्या है इस chapter में? Most of the times you people do, go by the principles, but importance of principles of management is something that is forgotten. So nature of principles and significance of principles of management is something where we are going to start with. And as I have been giving you the codes, I'll be sharing that again. ठीक है जी, तो सबसे पहले तो बात करते हैं what exactly do you mean by principles of management, but just give me 1 minute. यही problem and that's why I had kept it this way. One sec. Yeah. All right. So what are principles of management? We say principles of management are behavioral guidelines to decision and action. Okay, decision making and action. I repeat, principles of management are behavioral guidelines to decision making and action. So यहाँ हमने क्या बात किया? Behavioral guidelines. So why behavioral? Because the purpose of these principles of management is to bring a change in the behavior. किसके behavior में? To bring a change in the behavior of the managers as well as the workers. Because in any kind of organization, there are two kinds of people. One is the seniors and the subordinates. Like if I talk about your family, so there are your parents and there is you. So your parents are the seniors and you are the subordinates, right? So the parents as well as the children, they need to change their behavior.
37.
I would like everybody to be muted, right? So they have to change their behavior towards each other. That's why it is behavioral. Now, what do you mean by guidelines? Guidelines are not laws. They are not rules. They are suggestions. So guidelines tell you कि if we do this, this would be the probable result. जैसे how many of you have heard about the theory of karma? The theory of karma is just a guideline कि जैसा आप करोगे वैसा ही आपके पास भी वापस आएगा. इसका कोई प्रूफ नहीं है, पर हम ऐसा मानते हैं कि ठीक है, अगर हम गलत करेंगे तो हमारे साथ भी कहीं ना कहीं कभी ना कहीं गलत होगा. That's why if we do good, we are going to be in the good books of everyone and we are going to receive that only. Right? So that is guideline. So behavioral guidelines किस चीज के लिए? For decision making and action. Decision making कभी भी किसी भी काम को करने के लिए what, the decision has to be taken, how the work needs to be done, which way it needs to be done, what resources need to be done, put up, what system needs to be laid down. So decisions of right everyday work and not only everyday work but decisions which are taken once in a while, that are also taken, and action. क्योंकि decision जब आप लेते हैं उसके बाद आप लेते हैं action. जैसे आप लोगों ने decision लिया that you're going to join the class and after that you have taken the action of joining the class. Here, give me 1 second. I'll go back and I'll log the meeting and then we will continue. And also, as I had, all right, let me see. There is, everybody is there. There is nobody that I can see in the waiting room. There are 37 participants. Super happy to see that. And now I'm locking the meeting. Yes, meeting locked. And yes, once this meeting gets over, you're going to immediately join back. अब मैं थोड़ा सा और थोड़ा short करती हूँ अपने explanation, so I get carried away. So what I'll do is, once this class is over, you're going to rejoin by the same link. All right. If any one of you has joined by your mobile phone, because I have not joined by my phone, I would request you to take a screenshot of the participants and please share it with me in the group only so that I can see how many of you are there. All right. Okay, Avni is joining. So Sia, you can drop me a message because the meeting is already logged. I'll have to unlock for her. ठीक है, एक काम करते हैं, doesn't matter. I am unlocking the meeting. कर दिया unlock. जिसको लेट ज्वाइन करना होगा कर लेगा. मेरा क्या जा रहा है उसमें? All right. ठीक है जी. So सबसे पहले हमने क्या किया? We did that principles of management are behavioral guidelines. Behavioral guidelines to what? To decision making and action. Now we will go into the nature of principles of management, right? Nature of principles of management. Now here, boys and girls, I have tried to develop a code for you which you can remember. देखो, the purpose of giving you the codes is only so that you can remember. And क्या होता है ना, जब आपको आपकी आंसर स्क्रिप्ट मिलेगी, आपको टाइम लगे, आपके पास 15 minutes का रीडिंग टाइम होता है. If you feel that there are certain topics you might forget, so what you can do is on the last page of your answer script, you can write down those codes. So here, the code that I have developed is, क्या हुआ जी? Annotate. All right. It is PUBG. Okay. तो ये सबको याद रहेगा. PUBG EFC effect. So PUBG effect. All right. PUBG effect. So PUBG का effect है यहाँ पे nature of principles of management. Now what is this P? P stands for practice and experimentation, formed by practice and experimentation, right? So see, the management principles have not evolved overnight. They are a result of a lot of experimentation, repeated experimentation and practice, right? So प्रॉपर ऑब्जर्वेशन एंड एक्सपेरिमेंट्स आर कंडक्टेड बिफोर डेवलपिंग देम. तो कोई भी प्रिंसिपल जो है वो एक वन शॉट में नहीं बन गया है. देयर हैव बीन रिपीटेड एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कंडक्टेड इन डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एनवायरमेंट्स बिकॉज वी आर डीलिंग विद ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज ओवर हियर. So these principles are not a result of anyone's whims and fancies, rather have been propounded after a lot of practice and experimentation. So that is PUB. P. U stands for universal. Universal application. Now, what do we mean to say here by universal application? Universal application basically here means all pervasive, right? क्योंकि जब हमने किया management as a science, हमने किया universal validity नहीं है, but universal application है. That means principles of management are applicable to all kinds of human resources, whether it's a home, whether it's a club, whether it's a hospital or a government office even. So that is your U. Then B stands for, yes, B. Where is my B gone? PUBG effect. One sec, I'll have to take it down. All right. Annotation. One sec, beta. Resume. Okay, I got it. I'll have to click here to resume it down. So B stands for behavioral in nature. We did it in the definition itself. B stands for behavioral. That means principles of management are behavioral. They propound a change in the behavior of the managers as well as the employees, right? So PUB. So again, P is what? It is principles, guiding principles. Then U stands for universal application. B is behavioral in nature. PUB. Then G. G stands for general guidelines. I'll have to get back. General guidelines. What is meant by general guidelines, beta? Again, general guidelines means this is the keyword over here you'll have to see. One sec. This is a keyword. They are guidelines for actions, but they do not provide a ready-made solution. जिसे हम कहते हैं ना straight jacketed solution. The guidelines are not like medicines that you have a headache and you have Ceridon. No. What is the symptom? What is the reason you have a headache? That is important. So these principles are also not something which can be blindly applied, and they're not any kind of a ready-made solutions. They just give you a guideline that this would be the, if this is the cause, this would be the effect. So like there is an example given that principle of stability of tenure consists on giving a stable time period. It is not consists, it insists. So this is when you use someone else's PPTs, this is the language you get. Insists on giving a stable time period to employees to settle down. But how much time is to be given? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 days? Is it 6 weeks? That will vary from situation to situation. So आप उसको blindly follow नहीं कर सकते हो किसी भी principle को. So PUB-G. Coming on to E. E stands for cause and effect relationship. Here, cause and effect relationship. All right. So what is cause and effect relationship? These principles establish a very clear cause and effect relationship. That means they tell you very clearly that what would be the probable result when a certain principle is applied and what will be the repercussions in case the principle is not applied. ठीक है? So ये हुआ आपका cause and effect relationship. Then comes E से एंड देन कम्स फ्लेक्सिबल एंड कंटिंजेंट. अब यहाँ पे बेटा बहुत कंफ्यूजन होता है ज्यादातर लोगों को, तो इसलिए आपकी लैंग्वेज इसमें आपको पता होना जरूरी है. व्हाट आई डू इज वन सेक, आई रिमूव दिस. यस. सो कमिंग ऑन टू EF, F, flexible. अब flexible में क्या मतलब होता है बेटा? It means to say that these principles can be applied. Sorry. These principles can be applied differently under different conditions. Or in simple words, I can say these principles can be modified as per the requirement. So when we are talking about flexibility, we are talking about modifications. So modifications can be made in these principles as per the requirement. Like again, an example is given. The degree of authority, that is centralization, and its decentralization will absolutely depend upon the situation and the circumstances, the prevailing circumstances. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेंट्रलाइजेशन एंड डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन फॉलो करता है तो हर समय फॉलो करेगा. There might be instances where only centralization is followed. There might be instances where centralization and decentralization is followed. So these principles are flexible and can be modified. But when I talk about that these principles are contingent in nature, what I mean to say is that they may not be applicable at all points of time. That means these principles may or may not be applicable dependent upon the prevailing situation. तो इसका आपको ध्यान रखना है कि जब भी हम flexibility की बात करते हैं हम बात कर रहे हैं modification. These can be modified by the managers according to the situation. But when we are talking about contingent, we mean to say that these are dependent upon the prevailing situation at a particular point of time. कि इस principle को apply करना है या नहीं करना, यानी यहाँ हम मॉडिफिकेशन की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. सो इन केस स्टडीज बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट दिस. ऑल्सो जब हम बात करते हैं स्ट्रेट जैकेटेड कंडीशंस, लाइक दीज आर नॉट टेलर मेड और स्ट्रेट जैकेटेड सॉल्यूशंस, तो हमारा कौन सा प्रिंसिपल आता है? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट जनरल गाइडलाइंस. सो दीज आर द की वर्ड्स. So they're not ready-made solutions to any problem, and they don't provide us straight-jacketed solutions. That means we're talking about general guidelines. Okay. So what is the code? PUBGEFC, effect. Let's move ahead. Let's go on to importance of principles of management. This is again something which students, fail to do in a very good manner. So it's important that you understand. Now the code here is top SMS. So we'll start with T. So your T stands for training, education, and research. This is your number one. Training, education, and research. So management. So the importance of principles of management is that they form the base for further management training, education, and research. Like you people are being educated about what is management, how does management work, what are the various theories propounded by various theorists and management scholars. So it provides you, or it makes the basis for education as well as training future managers. Also, a lot of research can be conducted. That, like for tomorrow, if any one of you wants, you can go and do a doctorate. You can do a thesis in the work of Fayol and Taylor and its implication in the modern world, or how it has changed in the modern concept. So it also forms the basis of training, education, and research. So that is T. O stands for optimum utilization of resources. अब ये जो चीज़ है ना, ये बहुत कॉमन है, ये वर्ड हमारा optimum utilization of resources या रामबाण. इसको आप कहीं भी यूज कर सकते हो in any of the functions of management. So principles of management tell that, so they focus on, so what is it? What is the definition we did? We did that these are behavioral guidelines to decision making and action. अब decision making किस लिए होगा? Wastage of resources के लिए या optimum utilization के लिए? Obviously optimum utilization. So management principles have evolved after a lot of experimentation and observation, and the purpose of these principles is to make optimum utilization of both physical resources as well as human resources. So there goes your O. Then P stands for providing managers with useful insights into reality. जो अभी हमने किया था ना बेटा कि these have been formed out of a lot of experimentation and observation in the real world situation. So ये management के principles जो हैं they give an insight into real world scenario. That means these are a result of how things take place in the real world. So they give managers a very clear insight into reality that अगर आपको specialization चाहिए तो उसके लिए आपको division of work करना पड़ेगा. अगर आप चाहते हैं that in an organization the work is smooth, there is no chaos, people are able to work in a timely manner, then principle of order should be followed. So this is what we say that they provide an useful insight into reality. So that is your P. Then S stands for social responsibilities. Principles of management focus on helping the management on the organization in fulfilling social responsibilities. देखो जब हम बात करते हैं fair remuneration की, जब हम बात करते हैं equity की, what are we actually talking about? We are talking about the welfare of the society as a whole. So these principles, they help discharge the organization, its responsibility towards the society through various principles. जब भी आप इनको explain करोगे ना, please do give some examples. So fair remuneration, equity, it's an example over here. Then for M, meeting changing environment. Now, when I talk about meeting changing environment, abhi humne kiya tha, management principles are flexible in nature, right? Also, we have done that management itself is dynamic in nature. So management itself keeps on changing and evolving according to the changing times. The principles of management are also flexible and they can be modified as per the changing environment. That is why we say that these help in meeting the changing environment. And the last S is scientific decision making. So scientific decision making में सीधा आ गया cause and effect. As I told you earlier also that these are not fanciful ideas. It's not कि Fayol or Taylor they slept one day, they dreamt of these principles और next day उसके उठ के उन्होंने publish कर दिए अपने principles और दुनिया उनको follow कर रही है. No. These are scientifically proven principles. There has been a lot of experimentation and observation under different conditions. And that is why whosoever follows these principles or take decisions on the basis of these principles are scientific and not just a result of someone's fancy. Okay, so let's revise it again. PUBG effect is what? It is your features or nature of principles of management. And top SMS is your importance of management principles. Okay, so दो major topics हो गए हमारे, and now we are going to go into the Fayol's principles of management. So this is again the same thing given, which we have already done. Now, Fayol's principles of management, there are 14 principles of management. Beta, kabhi bhi aapse all 14 principles पूछे नहीं जाएंगे, but you need to know the headings of all 14 principles. Would anybody like to share with me the code we have developed for this? Anybody? Okay. The code is Russia used code. This is the code. Russia used code, and all your 14 principles will be covered up over here. Okay. So this is the way it is given in your books. Most of the books it's given like this, but if I have to remember them, I need to have this code. Russia used code. So you can see if I go in this order, Russia, unity of command, second, then stability of tenure. This is third. Then where is my subordination of individual interest? This is 4, right? 5, Russia. RUSSIA. No. No. No, 2 is right. 3 is right. 4 is right. 5 is wrong. I am not able to do this. Annotation नहीं हट रहा है भाई. ओके चलो, जो नहीं हट रहा है हम उसको नहीं हटाते हैं और जो हो सकता है वो कर देते हैं. Okay. Yep. So I से है हमारा initiative, then A, authority and responsibility, Russia, then used, 7, S, S कहाँ गया हमारा, S, 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 scalar chain, yes, it is a scalar chain, 8, E, order, sorry, equity, D, discipline, and C, C से आएगा हमारा, नहीं ये तो हमारा एस्प्री दी कॉर्स राइट है, रास्ट है, C, centralization and decentralization, 11. Then O stands for order. Where is order? Here, 12. Okay. Then 13th is division of work. And 14th, you can see, is esprit de corps. So the pronunciation of the last one is esprit de corps. It's a French word because it was founded by Fayol, who was a French citizen, right? So Russia used code. ये आ गए आपके 14 principles. We'll move down. अब मैं आपको देखो बेटा इसमें क्या चीज है, मैं आपको मोटा मोटा बताऊंगी क्या है ये प्रिंसिपल्स, बट आपको एक काम जरूर करना है, यू विल हैव टू गो एंड रीड थ्रू योर एनसीईआरटी बिकॉज व्हाट दे डू इज दे पिक अप द वर्ड्स फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी, टेक द एग्जांपल्स आल्सो फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी और वहां से आपके क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. So, division of work simply means to say, according to this principle, the work should be divided into small parts. Each part is called as a job, and each job should be performed by a person who is fit enough to do that task. Now, what happens is when this principle is followed, one, definitely the workload is divided. So if one person is doing one kind of a work in which he is skilled, right? So there is not a burden of work on one person. And secondly, it brings a specialization. इसका जो key word है वो है specialization. Division of work leads to specialization. All right. Then we move to authority and responsibility. Whenever you write this, you have to define authority, you have to define responsibility. So what is authority? Authority is the power to take decisions and give orders and get the orders followed. I repeat, authority is the power to take decisions, to use resources, to give orders and get them followed. And what is responsibility? Responsibility is the obligation to follow the orders and instructions and do the work as per the orders and instructions. Now, what does Fayol say? Fayol कहता है कि there should be a complete balance. Actually, when we talk about authority and responsibility, we say parity between authority and responsibility. Parity means balance. Fayol says that there should be a complete balance between authority and responsibility. Both should be equal. So if authority is given, it should be given because there is some responsibility, and responsibility without authority will not get the work done, right? So the positive effects is, so sorry, if only authority is given, there will be misuse or abuse of authority. And if only responsibility is given without authority, the work will not be done, the objectives will not be achieved. And therefore, there should be a complete balance between the two. All right. मूविंग ऑन टू डिसिप्लिन. अब डिसिप्लिन में बेटा एक चीज जो सबको पता है वो है दैट देयर शुड बी सर्टेन रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड एवरीवन शुड फॉलो दोज रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस राइट फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम. ये सबको पता है, बट ये तीन चीजें जो हैं ये ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. व्हाट डज इट इम्प्लाई? इट सेज that there should be good superiors at all level. And when I'm saying good superiors are the ones who are human in nature and who understand that they're working with human beings and not machines. Second most important thing, there should be a clear and fair agreement among subordinates and superiors. Now, what do you mean by clear and fair agreement? That means if something is said, it should be followed and people should know what they're supposed to do. So good superiors, good and fair superiors at all levels, clear and fair agreement amongst the superiors and subordinates. What are the subordinates going to do? What are the superiors going to do? What is whose area, and they are not going to intervene in each other's working. And the third one, meeting commitments at all levels. Any promise that is made, and it has to be followed. It has to be honored. That also comes in discipline. ये ज़्यादातर लोग नहीं करते हैं. So this is again, there has to be fair, a clear and fair agreement. So एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ से पूछा जाता है हमेशा, And it is again a question from your NCRT book. It says that the managers approached the workers. There was a big order. The managers approached the workers for overtime. And they said that you work overtime now. And later on, when the business, like when the order will be executed and the firm will earn profit, we are going to share the profits with you. Once the order was come, so the workers agreed, they worked overtime. But once the order was executed, the managers did not share the profits with the workers. Which principle has been violated? It is the principle of discipline. Why? Because a commitment, a promise that was made by the managers has not been honored. Right? तो ये होता है हमारा प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डिसिप्लिन। बेटा अगर कभी भी आपसे 6 मार्क्स के लिए प्रिंसिपल्स का क्वेश्चन आता है, जैसे इस बार हमने सेकंड प्री बोर्ड में क्वेश्चन दिया था, explain 4 principles. So in that case, write 2 paragraphs about those principles, right? तो छोटे छोटे पैराग्राफ्स लीजिए और प्लीज डू राइट द पॉजिटिव एंड द नेगेटिव इफेक्ट. दिस फेचेस यू वेरी गुड मार्क्स. सो पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट क्या होगा डिसिप्लिन का? देयर विल बी हार्मनी इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड देयर विल बी एब्सोल्युटली सिस्टमैटिक वर्किंग. एंड व्हाट विल बी द नेगेटिव इफेक्ट? अगर आपको पॉजिटिव पता है तो नेगेटिव तो लिख ही सकते हो ना. हाउएवर नेगेटिव इफेक्ट क्या है? देयर विल बी chaos. People will not be happy working, and there will be a lot of disorder in the organization, right? So that's discipline. Unity of command. Unity of command का हमारा जो कीवर्ड है वो क्या है? One superior, one subordinate. And it will be very good if you can make key stick figures over here. So हम जब इसको बनाते हैं तो हम stick figure कैसे बना देते हैं? This is one superior. These are subordinates. So you'll have to label it. This is subordinates and this is senior. Right? So when I say one superior, one subordinate, it's not कि हर subordinate के लिए एक senior नया employee होगा. It means to say that subordinates should receive orders and instructions from only one and one boss. Because if there are multiple bosses, there will be a lot of confusion and the subordinates will not be able to understand who to follow and who not to. That will lead to a lot of confusion. That's why one superior, one subordinate. ये stick figure आपको बनानी चाहिए इसके साथ. Okay, positive effect क्या होगा? There will be no confusion in the minds of the subordinates and there will be a very healthy relationship in superior and subordinate. Negative, confusion होगा और unhealthy relationship होगा.